Hey, what's going on, Tigers fans? It is Griffin, aka Deep to Center, depending on how you know me. I am back for episode 4 of Trading Bases, and I've got a good one here for you guys. I want to talk about a few things that happened. The first thing isn't even actually Tigers related, it is Lions related. They won another playoff game. We are going to the NFC Championship, and I genuinely cannot believe it. I've been alive for 26 years, and I never thought I'd see the day. And what's crazy to me is that some of you have been alive much, much longer and you've seen them make it that far and lose. And I don't know if that's worse. But either way, this is the first time in my life that they not only won a playoff game, but they're going to the NFC Championship. And I actually feel confident that not only can they win that, but they could potentially win a Super Bowl. I mean, if they win, they're going to play one of the Chiefs and Ravens. The Ravens scare me, maybe even more so than the Chiefs. We beat the Chiefs once. I mean, granted, that was a much different situation, but the Super Bowl would be in neutral ground, and I think that would help. However, it does still scare me because the Lions have a really hard time covering mobile quarterbacks, which is why I'm not too worried about the Niners. I mean, the Niners are really good, but Brock Purdy isn't like overly mobile. But Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, obviously, are very good at escaping pressure. And the Lions have a really difficult time dealing with that. So we'll see what happens. We got another week before the NFC Championship game, a week from yesterday, and a week to feel all giddy and excited and get ready for probably the biggest game, not probably the biggest game in my lifetime for the Lions, and that's really exciting. So outside of that, I'm ready to go ahead and start talking about the Tigers. I just felt like I couldn't start this without mentioning the Lions and how impressive it is what they're doing and how it kind of feels like the catalyst for other Detroit teams to kind of follow suit, except for the Pistons. Luckily for me, I'm not really a Pistons fan. Out of all Detroit sports, I didn't really have much of a attachment to the Pistons growing up. And I grew up halfway between in Kalamazoo area, so I grew up halfway between Chicago and Detroit. And when I was really at that age where I started liking basketball, Derrick Rose was like just becoming the Rookie of the Year MVP type, and so I became a Bulls fan as a kid. I don't really watch the NBA that much anymore, but at the end of the day, just nice not being a Pistons fan right now. Not that being a Bulls fan's a whole lot better. But anyways, back to the Tigers. First thing I want to talk about the Tigers. So last week we talked about them signing some new prospects internationally. A bunch more happened the next day. If you want to find out all the names, I highly recommend go checking out the Tigers minor league report or the Tigers PR Twitter account. They pretty much announce every signing. So that's a good place to look if you want to find out more names. But the big name I want to talk about isn't actually going to be signed until next year, and that is Cris Rodriguez. He is projected to be a top 5 international prospect next year. And apparently, according to a couple sources, one of them, Tigers Torque Moyle, I talked about him last week, or them. I don't know if it's multiple people running that account or not. But they basically said that Cris Rodriguez is in a handshake agreement with the Tigers to sign next year. So, things could happen. It might, not happen, but I do have a lot of faith in Scott Harris and Jeff Greenberg and the people running the show right now that they're not going to blow it in the same way that I would have been concerned with Al Avila running the show. So Cris Rodriguez looks very good to be a good chance to be a Tiger as of next offseason. So got a little ways to wait for that. But I mean, if you've seen clips of the kid, he's got a sweet swing. He is like a big bodied guy. And he just, to me, I mean, I've seen a couple different comps thrown out. I saw some people say Aaron Judge. I personally saw a little bit of Alex Rodriguez. And Tigers Torque Moyle responded to me and said that they saw Carlos Correa. Either way, you take any of those guys. Obviously, I think you take Judge and Rodriguez first, but Correa's pretty dang good too. So you take that if that's like his ceiling. But anyways, so I'm really excited for that. It is really cool to be in the mix, not only in the mix, but favorites to sign a top international prospect. It feels like that hasn't happened in maybe forever. So really exciting steps for the Tigers to take. I hope that's kind of a trend going forward, that they're just way more involved in international prospects and getting guys interested in coming and playing for this organization. So, other thing the Tigers did recently is they claimed Devin Sweet from waivers from the San Francisco Giants. San Francisco Giants, if you don't know, is Scott Harris's previous team. He was the GM over there for a little bit. So he kind of put together, or was putting together, that team that won 107 games with a roster that didn't look like they should win 107 games. Can the Tigers do that in 2024? Probably not. But it's impressive. It's an impressive thing to have on his resume. Devin Sweet is a guy that I don't think was there. He was actually, I believe, in the Mariners organization prior to that, so he wouldn't have been with the Giants when Scott was there. However, I'm sure Scott's still close with people in that organization, and I'm sure he's been keeping up on prospects over there. And Devin Sweet, if you look at his stuff, I mean, his off-speed pitches, they move. He doesn't throw extremely hard. His fastball, I think, just sits in the mid-90s at highest, which isn't a bad thing, especially for a reliever. But his off-speed stuff, it moves. And I think Fetter is great with guys that have a lot of movement on their pitches. He really enhances those kind of pitchers. And so I'm excited to see what he could do. I mean, it could be a nothing burger, but I mean, that's the beauty of a waiver claim. If you look at Tyler Holton last year, you had no expectations for him. It wasn't a big signing, and he came in and looked like a top 5 reliever in all of baseball last year as a rookie. So you absolutely take that. You hope Devin Sweet can do something similar. If not, it's not a big deal. It was a waiver claim. It wasn't, you're not paying the guy a ton of money. He's not somebody you have to keep around long term if he doesn't work out. But at the end of the day, you put him in the hands of Chris Fetter and company and see what happens. And I really think that that's the kind of moves that Scott Harris makes that Al Avila just didn't, that really kind of make this organization feel more, what's a good word for it? They're just, I'll say, well-rounded. Like every facet of how an organization is run, they just seem to do it good to great. And that's great. That's such an awesome thing to have, because before, I think the only thing that Al Avila had was the fact that he was a scout. And I think that he was good at maybe evaluating whether a guy had potential, had talent, but he wasn't good at putting together a team and a development team or that can develop these players. He wasn't great at, getting the Tigers involved elsewhere with these like international prospects, and get like Scott Harris just set up this new facility in the Dominican Republic. Like they're doing things that Al Avila just wasn't good at doing. So I think Al Avila was a really bad GM, and I think maybe he gets a little bit more slack than he deserves sometimes. And I know I'm not praising him at all. I am very much not a fan of the guy. However, I think it is fair to admit, when you look at some of the names like Colt Keith and Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green that he drafted, that he did have an eye for talent. Like Tarek Skubal, he did have an eye for talent. He just didn't have the right team around him to really develop these guys into the players that they could be. So you need two pieces of the puzzle. You need to be able to find talent, and you need to be able to develop that talent to help them reach their potential. He only fit one of those two pieces, and the other one may be more critical than the first one. So outside of that, less exciting news. Tyler Nevin was traded back to the Orioles for cash. So basically a reverse of what happened a year ago. I'm sure part of him is a little excited to go back to where he was comfortable prior. I don't know how much he liked being on the Tigers. He didn't really do a whole lot with the Tigers besides hit really well in AAA and really poorly at the major league level. But, I'm happy for him. I hope it works out. If it doesn't, I probably won't know, because I just don't pay enough attention to things going on with Tyler Nevin now that he's not going to be on the team. But, I do wish the best for him. Other thing going on with the Tigers, and this seems to be like some sort of thing going on. I don't know if they're all in a group chat planned this, but Tigers players just keep getting engaged. They keep proposing to their girlfriends this winter, and, good for them. Good for them. I guess love is in the air. I think the first domino to fall, or at least the first one I remember, was Kerry Carpenter proposing to his girlfriend, Lauren Burke. So, good for them. I'm sure they're all excited about that. I'm sure, they're in the honeymoon phase of the post proposal right now. So that's great. I'm happy for them. Spencer Torkelson also got engaged. Happy for him. Sad for Riley Green. I'm just kidding. I just know Riley Green always seems to be kind of third wheeling with Spencer and his girlfriend in the pictures, but I'm sure Riley does. I'm sure he's got a couple of girls that he talks to on a daily basis. He's a good looking guy. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm happy for Spencer. Happy for all these guys. Parker Meadows got engaged. Mason Engler, and I think there's a few more. I can't remember all the names. I try and post them when I find out about them. I post them on Twitter just to celebrate these guys, say that we're happy for them. Because at the end of the day, outside of baseball, these guys are human beings, and it's exciting to be excited for them. And so I have no reason to dislike any of them. I like these guys a lot as humans so far, and so I hope that their future wives are going to be happy as well. I also wanted to move on, and I wanted to talk a little bit about when Scott Harris is going to make the big trade. I think this winter, it's kind of felt like he made all these signings, but they're one big trade away. And I think without saying it all the time, I think a lot of people are waiting. We kind of feel like it's coming, but it's not guaranteed. He might not make any trade, but it just feels like that's coming. And I think if he's going to make a trade, I was thinking about this earlier. He was saying that he doesn't want to block anybody. So I think if he's going to trade for somebody, say like an Alex Bregman, who's got 1 year left on his deal, I think he is going to wait until spring training. He's going to get a solid amount of games in. He's going to really evaluate these guys against major league talent. He's going to see, okay, how close are we to having these guys ready? Is Jace Young close? Is Colt Keith close? Do we really think that these guys are not only close, but they're going to be competing and playing well at the major league level soon? And if the answer is no, then I think he considers making a trade for a player like that. I think if you get to the point where you're like, okay, we want these guys to sit in the minor leagues still for a while, half a season, maybe a full season, then you think, okay, maybe we need a guy because we want to compete this year. So if it gets to that point, you think, okay, now let's go get a guy that can help us compete this year. It's not going to block them from their future, that we can still bring them up next year and have them play. But we also want to compete this year. So a guy like Alex Bregman, or in my opinion, the guy I've been rooting for is Willy Adames. I would really love them to go get him. He started with the Tigers organization. Love to bring him back. He was in that David Price trade, and that worked out well for the Rays. And then they ended up flipping him to the Brewers for, I don't even remember, probably one of those starting pitchers between like Jeffrey Springs and Drew Rasmussen. They just do stuff like that. The Rays do. But anyways, so I am curious to see what they end up doing. They might not make any trades. I mean, they kind of keep everything close to the chest. So moves that happen kind of feel out of nowhere all the time, which, it kind of sucks as a fan sometimes, not like hearing rumors very often, because I think we kind of love feeding off rumors, but at the same time, it is nice in terms of like business strategy. And I think I appreciate that they do that. So yeah. Other thing, this is going to be a pretty short episode. I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot going on this offseason. I mean, I was just talking about the Tigers getting engaged. So not a whole lot going on. But I really do want to talk about the fact that I have been making a lot of YouTube videos. If you're listening on Spotify or if you're watching on YouTube, check out my other videos. I've been doing rankings videos. I've been doing Sporkle quizzes. I did MLB Pickle, just like games. I'm trying to kind of diversify a little bit, do some other things, just be more involved in the baseball world. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. So if you enjoy, listen to me ramble on, check them out. I'd really appreciate it. Give me a like and a subscribe and a comment. And, it would mean a lot to me. It really would. I really want to be somebody that is considered knowledgeable on baseball, somebody that like you guys can tune into to these podcasts or listen to one of my YouTube videos and feel like maybe you're learning something about the game because I have that much knowledge, and I'm learning myself every day. I go through Baseball Reference, I go through Fangraphs. I'm just scrolling. I consume baseball content. I consume baseball stuff all the time. It's like a hyper fixation. I love it so much, and I every day that passes by, I just want to be more and more involved, and that's why I'm back to doing this podcast weekly. That's why I'm making these YouTube videos. It's why I treat my Twitter account like it's a second job. Constantly trying to find things to post about and like get people excited about the Tigers because I'm that excited. I'm that excited about baseball. So I really appreciate all the support that you're able to offer. I enjoy making it, and I'd appreciate if you leave comments or message me on Twitter. Deep to center, and I think I have my DMs open. I'll make sure. But yeah, reach out to me if you have any suggestions to talk about. If you think if there's any players or anything I should reach out to interview, I'd love to do that as well. So yeah, just any ideas that you have, let me know, whether it's in the comments on YouTube or via DMs. I'm open to it. So, but yeah, I really appreciate you guys listening. I really appreciate anybody who supports what I'm doing here. And I hope that I'm able to start reaching more of you guys soon. So yeah, thank you again for listening. I know it was a short episode, but next Monday there should be another episode out. Hopefully we get some events that transpire from now and then. We are getting really close to spring training. That is about a month away. Then we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about. It's going to be really exciting. I'm so pumped for that. I really would love to make my way down to Florida for spring training to catch a game or two, but finances are, it's a tough world we live in, and it's probably just not going to work out. But anyways, yeah, thanks again for listening, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.